2 days ago, a 20-year-old NYU student was walking to class when a homeless serial sex offender with 16 prior arrests slapped her, grabbed her, and then threw her to the ground.
This morning at 9:20 a.m., walking to class on Broadway off of Waverly Place where that Fresh and Co is.
Terrible.
And as
Crazy.
I'm walking
Whack.
with my headphones on listening to music, I feel something slap me so hard, literally on my ass.
Yeah.
So hard.
It is
I was
crazy.
Like, oh my god, ow, that hurts so bad. And I was I thought it was one of my friends. So I was gonna turn around and be ow, that hurts so bad. Why did you do that? But when I turned around, I just saw this old white guy, and right when I turned around, he grabbed my hair like this and yanked me and threw me to the ground. My headphones went flying, and I was just on the ground. And I saw him just bulge.
Yeah, you have to be alert for sure. Always be alert. Always be alert. Always be vigilant. Because there are many weirdos for sure. Yeah, but it is abhorrent what befell this lady, bro. She did not deserve this, bro. F this dude. Hurt he got arrested. Glad he got arrested. He's a bozo. He's scum. He's moral muck. He needs to suffer, bro. He needs to suffer because he sucks. He's garbage.
2 days ago. And yes,
it's group of girls were so nice. They came up to me and they were
Yeah, she went on Megyn Kelly's show to discuss this with her friends. Her female friends was on too. Salute to her for being there for her friends.
You can see that he literally followed me across the street, and that's him right there. And he
Weirdo.
literally targets me, approaches me, and does this.
this was just 2 days ago. And yesterday, Zoran Mamdani.
Zoran Mamdani. I call him Zoran Mamdani because he's a deceiver.
To this NYU student Amelia's sexual assault on the streets of New York City.
If you are not connecting,
Zoran Mamdani.
This was just 2 days
Zoran
ago.
Mamdani.
And yesterday,
Because he
Zoran
cons
Mamdani
people.
announced that he's ending all
He
homeless
manipulates.
encampment suites the second he becomes mayor. This was his response, pretty much.
Me and approaches me and does this.
This was just 2 days ago. And yesterday, Zoran Mamdani announced that he's ending all homeless encampment sweeps the second he becomes mayor. This was his response, pretty much, to this NYU student Amelia's sexual assault on the streets of New York City.
if you are not connecting homeless New Yorkers to the housing that they so desperately need, then you cannot deem anything you're doing to be a success. We are going to take an approach that understands its mission is connecting those New Yorkers to housing, whether it's supportive housing, whether it's rental housing, whatever kind of housing it is. Because what we have seen is the treatment of homelessness as if it is a natural part of living in this city, when in fact it's more often a reflection of a political choice being made time and time again.
As somebody who used to be a die-hard liberal, I am ashamed to believe and admit that I used to support just broad
Wokeness.
sweeping liberal policies
Yep.
like this one.
Progressive
Today,
progressive
I am
policies.
terrified for myself and every other woman that lives in New York City.
Yeah.
This could have been me. This could have been any other
Terrible.
woman here in New York
Scary.
City. In fact, I
Woke
myself
City,
have had
NYC,
several
Blue City.
terrifying encounters with the homeless here in New York. And luckily, I have never been physically harmed.
So I assume is she saying she went through this under Eric Adams, Eric's leadership? Eric was the last mayor of NYC. Eric was a Democrat. Yes. I could be wrong when I say she went through this through this BS under Eric's leadership, but I could be right. Let me know if Stevie, if you see this, let me know. Or yeah, let me know if you went through this under Eric's leadership.
Terrified for myself and every other woman that lives in New York City. This could have been me. This could have been any other woman here in New York City. In fact, I myself have had several terrifying encounters with the homeless here in New York. And luckily,
Sorry
I've never
to hear
been
this.
physically harmed,
Sorry to
but
hear
I
this.
remember telling friends city. This could have been me.
Glad
this could have been
you
any other
didn't
woman
get
here in New York City.
seriously
In fact, I
hurt
myself
or
have
worse.
had
Words.
Several
It is
terrifying
ugly
encounters
in
with the homeless
NYC.
here in New York.
It is.
And luckily, I have
It
never been
is.
physically harmed. But I remember telling
is
friends
savage.
as far back as 2020
is
that I was
crazy.
afraid on the subway and even in my own neighborhood here in Brooklyn. And several of them just ignored me and didn't believe me and told me that I was being paranoid and that they neighborhood here in Brooklyn. And several of them just ignored me and didn't believe me.
Crazy.
This could have been me. This could have been any other woman here in New York City. In fact, I myself have had several terrifying encounters with the homeless here
Nuts.
in New York. And luckily, I have never been physically harmed. But I remember telling friends as far back as 2020 that I was
you
afraid
did not
on the
get
subway and even in
physically
my own neighborhood
hurt.
here in Brooklyn.
That's what has been crazy.
Telling
If you
friends
did.
as far back as 2020 that I was afraid on the subway and even in my own neighborhood here in Brooklyn.
Yeah, people
And
shouldn't be in
several of them
constant
just
fear of
ignored me and
violence.
didn't believe me and told me that I was paranoid and that they
Law-abiding
always feel
people
safe.
shouldn't
So
be
it
in
must just be
constant
me.
fear
When
because
I
that
was
is
woke, I
deleterious
thought
to
these
your
types of
physical
sweeps
health,
were
yo.
just overreaching. Luckily, I have never
It
been
is
physically harmed.
detrimental
But
to
I
your
remember
to
telling
the health,
friends as far back as 2020 that I was afraid on the
to
subway
the physical
and even
health.
in my own neighborhood here in Brooklyn. And several of them just ignored me and didn't believe me and told me that I was being paranoid and that they always feel safe. So it must just be me. When I was woke, I thought these types of sweeps or just overreaching policies like encampment sweeps were inhumane and that homeless people needed somewhere to stay because where else are they going to go? The reality of the situation is that the homeless criminal population in New York has more sympathy and gets more empathy from liberals these days than vulnerable populations such
Crazy.
as women.
Children.
You will hear a bunch of liberal women defending Zoran's policies because, again, this is just about them virtue signaling, and maybe fortunately for them, they have also never been attacked physically by somebody on the street. The most I've ever personally been attacked by a homeless person was when I got elbowed by them just walking by. But I know people that have been spit on, and I've also had really scary encounters where it
Sickening.
felt that I was just moments away of really harmful physical encounters. The people that voted for Zoran Mamdani are the people that are privileged enough pretty much to never have to take the subway. Clearly they don't take the bus because if they did, they would know that making buses free is not going to change anything because nobody pays for the bus in the first place. But these people take Ubers and taxis everywhere, and they're not taking public transit and walking around on the street to go to school. What's really sad is that this student, who's a 20-year-old NYU student, probably voted for Zoran Mamdani if she's registered in New York.
Not sure,
I don't wanna make
possible,
assumptions,
but
so there's no way I can know this for sure. But based on the general population and the political affiliations of NYU students, is a prime example of suicidal empathy when we are literally seeing that we all live in a reality where there are many violent criminals in New York City running loose thanks to cashless bonds and just constant turnover of people that have been arrested and then just placed back on the street.
Killers,
so
rapists,
Zoran Mamdani, he goes on to say whether
violence,
it's housing,
criminals,
whether it's
crazy,
housing,
bro.
whatever kind of housing
They put these people above the safety of the law-abiding people in New York City. It is crazy, bro. It is nuts.
are many violent criminals in New York City running loose.
Wokeness is a disease. I've said this multiple times, bro.
Arrested and then just placed back on
Wokeness is
the
a
street.
disease
So we
that
see Zohran
needs
Mamdani,
to
he
be
goes on to say
eradicated.
Whether it's supportive housing, whether it's rental housing, whatever kind of housing, the general population and the political affiliations of NYU students is a prime example of suicidal empathy, when we are literally seeing that we all live in a reality where there are many violent criminals in New York City running loose thanks to cashless bonds and constant turnover of people that have been arrested and then just placed back on the street. So we see Zohran Mamdani, he goes on to say whether it's supportive housing, whether it's rental housing, whatever kind of housing it is, because what we have seen is the treatment of homelessness as if it is a natural part of living in the city, when in fact it is more often a reflection of a political choice being made. The irony on this is that pretending like this is a natural part of life is basically what he is claiming he's going to do by just turning a blind eye to homeless encampments and tented encampments and not sweeping them and moving them into shelters. Pretending like the world works in all of the ways that we wish it worked
Delusional.
doesn't resolve anything. Most of the homeless people in New York City, and I've talked about this before, suffer from mental illnesses. It is not just the fact that they don't have access to housing. A lot of them have access to housing, but they don't stay in the housing due to their mental illnesses.
There's drug addiction,
This is not something
addiction
that's resolved
within a lot of
just through
people
housing. If they wanted
who
to talk
are
about mental
homeless.
health reforms, fine. But just saying that you're going to end encampment sweeps puts everyone at risk. It puts homeless people at risk, but it also puts the general public at risk.
Yes,
And
that is crazy. We both.
This
It is
guy
crazy that we both
arrested again,
said that term simultaneously, bro. Yo, great. They say great minds think alike. Words.